Welcome back. Today we're going to talk about the idea is around your work and whether or not you're a little too romantic with your own work, your own product of whatever you're making. And it's a personal journey here, and we're going to dive into it because I think a few of you, artists, creators, writers, coffee purveyors, maybe just a little too romantic about your own work. And I think the questions that resonate for me on this topic have to do with maybe we're taking too much pride in what we do, maybe too much identity in what we do. I am an artist. That's amazing. But I am an artist of that painting. Only that painting? No more paintings after that? Or I am a business leader for this business. Just that business? What if that business goes away? What if you're fired? What if it fails? Are you no longer a business leader? I think the idea around perfectionism, right? We romanticize about it and we try to make it perfect and perfect and perfect, and then we never actually ship. And then I think this is the idea of your inability to maybe scale your business to something that allows us to have a lifestyle, live, impact more lives, serve more customers. So that's what we're going to dive into. So if any of this resonated to you, this will be interesting. And I always like to say in Our Best Self, we are always striving to better what we do personally and then what we do in the world, right? Our impact, our output, the outcomes that we're driving. And so that's where we're going to get to today. And this really hits me personally. I know I've shared that we're building a coffee business, right? And I have an opportunity in this very moment to scale it and maybe continue the pursuit. But I also have a little romantic feelings about it. And I think there is a lot of personality and personal attachment that comes with some of these things that maybe prevents you from taking the next required step. And I think number one out of the gate, we always recognize that how we do anything is how we do everything, right? So if we're doing great work in our art, in our craft, in our business, that mindset and that drive to carry that forward is going to continue. It must, right? Those good habits should carry over. Work and customers should not only benefit, you personally should benefit. Your family should personally benefit from your good habits. And the work always matters, meaning that the product of what you make matters. It is our craft, it is our art. It encapsulates the sweat it took to get there and the passion we put in for every single one. Every single thing that I write, it has a bit of me in it. Every bottle that we sell reflects the 2.5 years of journey to get to it. When I'm bringing on team members and we're talking about what are we going to be doing next, that matters, right? Embedding in our culture the desire to do good work is absolutely top of line and top of mind for me. We always have feelings and a passion around the quality work we do. We're always giving our best. We know that. But there is something we have to also step back and up and think about this. So if you're launching products or you're trying to ship your movie script or you're trying to do these things right now, this is for you. Look at what you are doing. This is for the perfectionists out there. And come up a level. Or what you putting out in the world, is it what the market needs, what your consumers consume? And more so does that is what they are asking for and how they consume it and the quality of what they're looking for. Are they matching what you're delivering? And it's important because we want to know the difference, meaning that where is the tipping point in the line where these two meet, where it should look, it should feel, and it should be a benefit to the world, right? How do you pull these two together? And it's tough because if we don't ask these questions of what are we making, and is it what is needed, and are we bringing it in a format with a level of energy that is balanced to the demand, Well, we get tunnel vision, right? Why do you make it that way? Because we always made it that way. What customers buy it? Those customers. Why? Well, because they're the ones that always buy it. And then you continue in that loop. You only make the thing that only those people buy. Well, what about everybody else? What if you're a half step to the left or the right and to have billions of people benefit from what you do and what you make? What if you're able to connect to your daughter at a super strong level, but if you just took a quarter second difference in your language, maybe your son connects you differently. So the product and output applies to parents, entrepreneurs, artists, creators, everyone. And I think it's important to know that, to think about that, because whatever we're doing today might be brilliant. It might be. But are you building, writing, sharing, and doing it by hand? Let's say, for instance, and is that a limitation to you? Meaning that what you're making may be brilliant. It might reflect your art purely. But are you doing it in a manner that you have chosen and have decided not to try other methods simply because that's your identity? And now we've limited our output, limited our impact, limited our personal growth. Because as you're repeating, yes, you're getting more efficient and more effective at doing that one thing, like packing those envelopes like I used to do in the mailroom. But what about your growth? If you never used the machine right next to you to speed up the packing of envelopes, then I would have never had time to work on the servers, to then learn how to do hardware, which then allowed me to build a hardware business, right? Like, if you don't transition and grow and iterate and increment what you're doing, then your growth, your personal growth, is going to get reduced. But also the journey, our journeys, deserve a little novelty, a little expansion. And I say it that way because I think too often we think of it as, well, this is what I do, this is my job. And it's a routine. It doesn't need to be. You can bring new ideas into things and build on that. And I always like to say, think about the impact, right? The world deserves your craft and your art. It does, right? If not for them, do it for you, knowing that you discovered more about yourself and about what you could create. So the real question is, when does your work matter? And then the need to shift and scale and grow collide, right? Like, the work we do matters, but so does the need to grow and scale. Like, when do they intersect together? And that question can be answered very simply. You are an artist. You are a great worker. You are building things that matter. When the work that you are doing, and it matters to you, to the world, that's a little litmus test, and the need to shift, grow, and scale, they intersect. When you're having these thoughts, the time to change is now. And the reason is this: your heart and your soul has your eyes up, and you're looking at the horizon, and you're like, I wonder what else I could do. I wonder how I can do this bigger. Or I'm bored with what we're doing right now. We've done it every week, this week for the last 11 weeks, 1,100 weeks. I don't know how many years that is, but it might be a lot. And if you're having the discussion in your mind with your family in your journal of whether or not you should change, the answer is yes, and the answer is now. And the reason is timing on these growth moments is personal, right? It's personal, and it's reflective of where you are. You're making, let's say, good product, a good output. Well, if the market is buying it and it's ready to scale, well, then you scale, right? You get a growth moment. But if what you're selling is not good, and this is important, if what you're selling is not good or not profitable, do not scale. You're just going to get yourself very far in debt very fast. You need to refine what you're doing so that it's good for the market and you're going to win, right? By winning, I mean is you don't go bankrupt. You get a profit and you're able to build your business. So only scale when you have a profitable enterprise. But really, then the question is, why don't we scale? Like, what are the what are the pushbacks that are stopping you from scaling? Well, one might be is that you're an artist, right? Or you're a writer, or you're making coffee. And let's talk about that one specifically. Today, me and my team hand make it. Okay. And it's amazing, right? Absolutely amazing. We work tirelessly on the recipe and the balance, and then we deliver it with a smile. Well, to do more, we need to scale it. And to scale it means we use a machine to bring everything up to temp at the same time, as opposed to single pots, right? A big kettle. We use a bottling line to speed up the application of the stickers and for the precise measurement of the ingredients. We use a line heater that seals all the plastics. We have all the bells and whistles, and all of this is done in minutes instead of hours. So, what is the right choice? Well, the right choice is to go that way. It doesn't change the quality of the product. It doesn't change what's in the product. It doesn't change who designed and created the recipe for the product. The only thing that's different is we are using tools to do more of them in less time. So it's hard when you think about, why am I not scaling? Well, one, maybe you just have a romantic thing about you standing there and making it all one by one and sealing it one by one. And yes, that's been awesome. But after you pass a couple hundred, you're kind of like, let's go to the next level. What can you do in this specific example if you scale the bottling? Well, if I'm spending 5 hours brewing and bottling, but now I can spend 15 minutes bottling and brewing, then the rest of the time can be used for coming up with new recipes, improving the quality, reaching and visiting customers, like literally sitting with customers as opposed to cooking the coffee. So I think that's important to see that, because what happens as a creator, one, I get more feedback. Two, I have more time to be creative. And the tasks of bringing all the ingredients together, they become systematized. And I see this also where we have to think about ourselves as writers. Today we have AI and ChatGPT, and people are wondering, like, well, if I create an article out of ChatGPT based on dozens of questions from my end, and it encapsulates what I would have written because it reflects my questions and thinking, is that my work or somebody else's? Like, would I post that and pretend it's mine? Or if I make an article and I did not do anything to it, I just said, hey, how many fish live in the sea? And it gave me the answer, and then I published it as an article. There's a lot of gray area for a lot of people here, and I want to provide the answer. I want to provide an answer that I think is the most ethical and the most right at this current moment. And it goes like this. When I write, I write. And if I hand it to somebody else, and a copy editor totally transforms the language back into English, which is awesome for anybody who wants to read it, and we publish it, when I look at it, it's different than what I wrote. It has the same intent, same meaning, generally the same flow, but it's way better. That's still my work, right? Because I wrote it. I just had an editor adjust it. Now, if that editor is a human or an AI, it doesn't change. It's still my body of work. Great. Now, if I asked an AI to write something, and then I edit it massively, right? I use it as the base to begin, or maybe it gives me the headings, and then I go from there. Again, that's my content. And the reason is that I didn't just take the AI's answers, errors, and hallucinations all at once and just publish it, and I would say plagiarize the AI's work. I was an extreme participant, right? And I had well over the majority of content was my own workings. So here's the rule of thumb. Whether you're creating a video, a song, an artist, a writer, a basket weaver, if you create it, you own it, right? It's your intent to share. You created it. You lead with the right intent. If you use an AI and it's the AI's work, well, then don't claim it as your own. That's plagiarism, right? Super simple. So beware on that area, because I think as we are getting into an era where you're going to be able to really be productive, and I am really having a blast summarizing my own words and bulletizing my own words and taking my transcripts and getting those condensed into summaries, like I'm having a great time. But I can definitely see a set of mistakes that people would make that where they might publish a book that was all AI, right? And they could publish hundreds of books like that. So I think it's important to believe and understand in your work and take credit where credit's due, right? You did it. You should take credit for it. So how should you go forward? We started the discussion around romanticizing our work and that becoming a bias and a hindrance to our own growth as humans, but also to the benefit of our customers and our product, right? When we become so selfish, I'll use that word, with the product that we are selling and distributing, that we choose not to scale and grow, and I would dare say delegate and separate ourselves from the work, it does limit us, and that bias will keep you playing small potatoes and not making life off your passion and craft. So how do you go big? How do you go big? And why should you go big? You go big by delegating, scaling, automating, using tools, and hiring people to help you. Now, a few things to think about. It's going to cost you if you don't. First off, the majority of the world is not going to see your work, your product, your craft, your art, your vision. They're not, because unless you scale publish and scale launch and scale drive into the markets, then there's a good chance the majority aren't going to see it. Second, if you're thinking about, I want, distribution, well, I might only go to certain grocery stores. You might only go to certain websites. We only may have certain filters on our X or our LinkedIn's in order to see some content. People consume different things in different places. So if you want more people to see it, you need to form your creations to meet them where they are. Another thing to think about is that things come and go, right? Fads come and go, platforms come and go. Newspapers feel like they're on their way out completely now. And when they came in, they were a big deal, right? So things will come and go. So the more you hit on a broader audience and service, the greater a chance people will build on it. And that last part matters, right? Because you're not releasing for this to be a dead end for humanity and your work. You're releasing this because you want other people to build on it. You want other people to do better on it, be better because of it, right? That is literally how human knowledge works. And I think that's super important. Finally, we mentioned this before. We're going to reiterate it now. You, of course, are going to have favorites. I love doing it this way with that store, or I like writing this way in this app and putting it in this place. Other people have favorites too, but the risk is that you will have tunnel vision. You will not see what else you should be doing, how else you should be doing it. And so you must be very cautious here to not get tunnel vision. And that's also, you got to not have fear, right? Like you need to let people know verbosely, consistently, and nonstop what you are bringing to the world. And the reason you need to do this is, if today we're speaking on making our work, not romanticizing our work, and how do we scale our business? Well, how you scale your business and how you scale your art so you can live off of your craft is a very important question. And it may matter to you right now, but other people, they may not be in that place. They may not have a need or a passion that they've identified, or their craft is just starting where they're starting to sell it and get eyeballs to it. Well, in the future, that will be beneficial to them. Having this conversation tomorrow or in a year from now is very possible to be providing real benefit. And that's why we have to make sure we're really driving this out. So do it for you, do it for others so they can benefit from your work. Frankly, do it for the reason that you started your craft in the first place, right? I wrote down that growth only comes when we let our creations fly. Whether you outsource, automate, hire, or work harder and faster, you need to grow. Your heart needs your growth. Your soul needs your growth. It can be scary. That's okay. Be honest. Be upfront. Be okay with the failures that occur with new steps in foreign territory. I believe in you. You got this. Go on. Go big when you're ready and you feel it. And that is how you will scale your business, serve more customers, and I would say widen the aperture on your identity from just your singular product and singular passion and craft to something more authentic. Have an amazing day. Again, subscribe, share if anybody you think is trying to accomplish this, and let me know how it helps.